So getting a chance to hone the skills. Now, next thing is in TV, the where the rubber hits the road is being a hired hand as a director for what someone else writes.
Right.
And I always feel like a director on the way, the best choices are to be able, because we do collaborate, to be able to interpret someone else's script rather than to own the writing and the directing, but to own the directing and interpret the writing.
Yes.
What was your adventure like working, getting into television on the stuff that you have with the writing team and interpreting with them and collaborating with them? Because in a sense, every director somewhere in his soul is also a writer.
Right. Yeah, and look, I've written 2 feature films and plenty of shorts, so I come from. There's a little bit for any director out there listening. I think there's a button you have to turn off on yourself, right? Which is you're not the sole authority on this thing. And in TV, oftentimes, like I'm pitching shows, I'm working on shows that I've been working on for years as just concepts, and then put that work aside. Let's just say you just only factor in, you could come up with an idea, presto changeo. You're still looking at 12 to 24 months before that thing comes on TV. And so now you're some director doing episode 3, trying to impose your idea of how this thing needs to be done. But they figured that out, or they had an idea about that for the past year to 2 years. So how do you respect what they do? It means that you have to dissect what they've done. And so my job is to look at what is it that this story, that this show does, how have they historically done it, or if it's a new show, how are they telling me they want to approach it? And then how can I add my unique vision into what they've already baked up? And it's knowing where you can do something new and where you have to honor just, this is how they shoot scenes like this, or this is how these actors are in moments like this. And it's a bit of a gas clutch, riding to figure out where you can elevate it. But the irony that I've learned, not irony, the thing that I've seen is that if you really respect the show in the beginning and just give them what they are expecting to get, then over time, you start getting a little bit more creative leeway. So now, like, I've done things on shows like this is my 5th Blackish, or I did 6 Grownish, I did 4 Always Sunny. And like, the more that they get comfortable with you, the more you can be like, hey, like, Rob, I think this might be a cool way to approach it. And they might be like, you know what, we didn't think about it like that, but we know what we're trying to do. Let's go for it. So it's a fun time, but respecting the writer is key.
Am I also right in the TV world, for episode by episode,
Mm-hmm.
as a scene, if you watch any of the series, you're jumping director to director, so you're handing off an episode that you've done, and then the next episode might be by another director, but it's a seamlessly told story, so you're going back and forth. I've never really spoken to any of the episodic directors about what that process is, or if it actually is a process. That's another curiosity, I think, right? Because TV is very collaborative, and there are not necessarily, it's not actual serial directors, but serial episodes.
Right. Yeah, you're trying, like the directors, the only thing we ever really kind of converse about is like, hey, what's it like on set? Who's acting, what are the conflicts with people? What kind of fires do I need to avoid? But other than that, it's like, it's more of it's almost like looking at it as a finished piece of work and saying, how do I replicate that? Or how do I keep it creatively on the track. Because even now, like, I'm doing the 15th episode of Blackish this season, and only 8 have aired. So what I've watched all 8. Now I have I have to email them today, actually, but I'll assume there's probably maybe 2 or 3 cuts that I can watch. So let's say that gets me to episode 9, 10, and 11. And then, 12, 13, and 14 will just be scripts that I'll have to read. And I have to track what's going on in these stories, because sometimes, there's a joke in my script that I don't actually know what it means, or I don't know the full value of it because it started in a story in episode 12. Or oftentimes, like, I'll read something in a script and I'll have to ask the writer, like, yo, what's going on here? This seems like these people might be getting together. And they'll be like, oh yeah, in episode 20, that's going to be a new relationship. And so, for instance, last year, I did this episode where Pops and Ruby, Lawrence Fishburne and Jennifer Lewis's characters, kind of rekindle. And then this season, they got married, and they told me that it was leading toward that.